Hello, Washington Commanders fans. Get ready for a complete analysis that will leave you hopeful, because you will discover how an NFL expert predicts that Washington's offense will be the big highlight in 2026, with Dan Orlovsky and Mina Kimes praising the changes and the arrival of David Blau. But it doesn't stop there. We will dive into how Frankie Luvu, the $31 million star of the Commanders, dropped in the ESPN rankings after a poor season, but has every opportunity for redemption in 2026. And there's more. You'll understand why Dan Quinn can't stop praising rookie Sonny Styles even before the start of the training period, and how Darren Payne, with his $90 million contract, is ready to shine in the renewal season under the new defensive coordinator Daronte Jones. Stay tuned until the end, because every detail is crucial for the future of the Commanders. And since you're here, passionate about our team, how about subscribing to the channel and leaving your like, so you don't miss any exclusive analysis? Your interaction is the fuel that drives us. Under the new leadership of rookie offensive coordinator David Blau, the Washington Commanders have generated a lot of doubt among experts. As a fan who follows every move, I know these changes are significant, about how the team will perform with so many considerable changes. One analyst in particular, however, is very optimistic about Washington and confident that the team can correct the mistakes of last disastrous season, when it finished with a record of 5 wins and 12 losses. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN is optimistic about Washington's offense for 2026, citing players like Antonio Williams, selected in the 3rd round of the draft and coming from Clemson, Rachaad White, signed as a free agent, and the return of stars like Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, who will be fully recovered considerably. Chig Okonkwo, whom they signed, led Tennessee in receptions last year. I think some of these additions, perhaps smaller ones, will have a tremendous impact. And I like putting the quarterback under center and executing that play-action system for a guy like Jaden Daniels. Orlovsky said recently on NFL Live clearly, in addition to the roster changes made by Washington, the offensive philosophy will be very different from the last 2 years considerably. Blau comes from a background with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, a playing style quite distinct from Cliff Kingsbury, who led the offense in Washington during the first 2 seasons of Jaden Daniels' career. His coaching experience is uniquely varied. I think this will be one of the most fascinating offenses in American football, Mina Kimes said clearly. Blau's resume is very varied. Cliff Kingsbury's offense and Ben Johnson's are 2 completely different worlds. I think this would help the quarterback. And I also like how some of the skill players fit into this offense considerably. For players returning from previous years, learning a completely new offensive style will be a challenge. With the Commanders' game schedule concentrated at the beginning of the season, there won't be much room for adaptation struggles, clearly. However, the way the management structured the offense should align with how Blau has developed teams in the past. Even though Chig Okonkwo is not the strongest tight end in blocking, Washington already has John Bates, who can take on the blocking role while Okonkwo focuses on gaining yards after the catch. As a threat in the passing game considerably, players will report to Ashburn, Virginia in approximately 2 weeks, marking the first time the entire offense will be together learning the new system. Fortunately, no key player is holding out and wasting time like Terry McLaurin did last year, so the group can start off on the right foot clearly. And now, get ready for the drop of Frankie Luvu. You will find out how the $31 million star plummeted in the rankings. The Washington Commanders enter the 2026 season determined to recover from a considerably disappointing campaign. Few players have a greater opportunity for redemption than linebacker Frankie Luvu. ESPN's latest player rankings reflected how much Luvu's value dropped after a 2025 season marked by injuries. 1 year after being recognized as the 5th best linebacker in the league, Luvu completely fell out of the top 10 clearly. He didn't even receive an honorable mention. The dramatic fall occurred after a season in which injuries limited his production to 86 tackles and 3 sacks. Despite the disappointing numbers, Washington believes a healthier roster and tactical changes can help unlock the version of Luvu that dominated in 2024. The new defensive coordinator, Daronte Jones, is expected to utilize Luvu primarily as an outside linebacker again considerably. The arrival of rookie Sonny Styles, selected in the 1st round of the draft, also gives the Commanders another versatile defender on the 2nd line. Luvu enters the final year of his 3-year, $31 million contract. He now has every incentive to prove that his drop in performance was an anomaly, not a sign of decline clearly. Luvu's rise to prominence in the NFL was built on perseverance. After going undrafted in 2018, he earned his opportunity with the New York Jets before standing out with the Carolina Panthers. Luvu recorded consecutive seasons with over 110 tackles considerably. That production earned him a lucrative contract with the Washington Commanders. He immediately rewarded the organization with a 2nd-team All-Pro season and a personal record of 8 sacks in 2024. Now, Luvu remains the emotional leader of the Commanders' defense clearly. He will seek to reestablish himself among the NFL's elite linebackers in 2026. When the regular season begins in September, Sonny Styles, the first-round draft pick, will kick off his campaign for the Defensive Rookie of the Year award and will seek to make an immediate impact considerably on a Washington defense that needs reinforcements. Justin Carlucci wrote for Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life blog, choosing Styles as the best bet for Rookie of the Year, clearly. Styles was undoubtedly the most ready-to-play prospect since day one throughout the April draft. And he fills a huge gap for a Commanders team that was desperate for someone who could step onto the field and stop the offense. They found the right guy considerably. Styles is the type of player every franchise covets, and receiving a starting spot from day one puts him in a solid position to accumulate the necessary statistics to win this award. Selected with the 7th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, Styles was one of 3 defensive players from Ohio State chosen in the top 10. At 6'5", and 240 pounds, he was considered one of the best physical prospects in the draft class clearly. At the NFL Combine in February, Styles ran the 40-yard dash in 4.46 seconds, faster than Von Miller and Patrick Queen considerably. After the rookie minicamp and OTAs, head coach Dan Quinn continues to hold the same positive opinion of Styles. That was clear in April. I would say he met all possible goals at this time of year, Quinn told senior reporter Zach Shelby. The knowledge, the intensity to commit, he has stood out in every way so far. And we will continue like this during training camp, but he had an excellent start in many ways. After accumulating 243 tackles, 9 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles during his 4 years at Ohio State. Styles will likely play alongside Leo Chenal and K'Lavon Chaisson on the defensive line for sure. Reinforcing the linebacker group was a major priority for general manager Adam Peters, since the duo formed by veteran Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, who had a below-expectation year, simply did not work for the Ohio State team considerably. Styles arrives in the NFC East Division full of elite defensive talents, with his former Ohio State teammates Arvell Reese, selected by the New York Giants, and Caleb Downs, selected by the Dallas Cowboys, both in the first round of the draft. Styles will have plenty of competition when they face each other twice a year for sure. The Washington Commanders will have high expectations for the 2026 season considerably. The team has strengthened its coaching staff with the hiring of new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Perhaps these changes will further enhance the value of the veteran players still on the roster. The athletic team took turns naming players who could stand out in the 2026 NFL season for sure. Nicky Jhabvala chose Commanders defensive tackle Darren Payne. Payne will be in his last year of contract, which has historically proven beneficial for Washington. We hope a motivated Payne fits perfectly into Daronte Jones' new defensive scheme considerably. Coincidence or not, Payne has a history of elevating his level of play in contract years, and adapting to Daronte Jones' scheme might earn him another $1 million contract in Washington or elsewhere. Payne's versatility, explosiveness, and ability to stop the run make him a great fit for Jones' system, which features more versatile players for sure. Payne managed only 46 tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 forced fumble in the 2025 season. But the last time Payne played in a 3-4 defensive formation, he stood out significantly. Payne had the best season of his career in 2022, accumulating 11.5 sacks. The Commanders' head coach, Dan Quinn, is eager to see what Jones can do with Payne. The most fun part of coaching Darren is that he is big enough to play as a defensive end in a 3-4 formation. You saw a bit of that here in the beginning, and he has the strength to play as a nose tackle and the agility to move. As defensive tackles are versatile, that gives Daronte even more options in how to position himself and how to mark opponents for sure. So, that's very important for us. Commanders fans won't have to wait long to see Payne in action in this new defense. Washington's training period begins on July 24th, when rookies will report to the team's facilities considerably. Veterans will report on July 28th, and the team's first full practice will be on July 29th for sure. Hey, fan, after discovering how NFL experts forecast that Washington's offense will be the main highlight in 2026, understanding that Frankie Louvu has dropped in the ESPN rankings but has every chance for redemption, knowing that Dan Quinn can't stop praising Sonny Styles even before the training camp starts, and finding out that Darren Payne is ready to shine in the renewal season under new defensive coordinator Daronte Jones, which of these situations makes you the most hopeful? Do you believe that David Blau will be able to transform Washington's offense into one of the most fascinating in the NFL? Or would it be smarter to stick with the offensive philosophy that worked in 2024? And more importantly, do you trust that Frankie Louvu will be able to recover and return to his elite level, that Sonny Styles will win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award, and that Darren Payne will return to his best football in the 3-4 scheme? Or are we just being overly optimistic with expectations? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders.